All right, Alex, I think we've got it. Are we started up?
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Adam, are you there? Can you hear me?
I can. I can hear you, Alex. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, great. Well, let's get started. Good morning, everybody. We're here today to talk about a payroll service called Payroll4Construction. It is a part of the Foundation Software family of products. Foundation Software has been around serving construction companies solely, I want to say, Alex, for over 40 years.
Correct. We've been in business since 1984 for Foundation Software, the payroll service since 2006.
Gotcha. So obviously you've been working with construction contractors pretty much exclusively, for 40 years or more. You've got, accounting services, project management, time tracking, all kinds of accounting packages for contractors to use, but obviously Payroll4Construction is the one we're going to talk about today. What we want to focus in on is just how uniquely suited Payroll4Construction is for serving the needs of construction contractors. So Alex, with me here today, will be the one that dives into the service and how it works. For those of you who don't know, I'd be surprised if you don't, Foundation Software and Payroll4Construction have been partners with ABC National for decades. You can see their ads, their sponsorships, from chapter to chapter and at the ABC National level. They run some really fun ads in the Construction Executive magazine as well. Also, they are the only payroll service that's partnered with the ABC Insurance Trust. So that's part of why we're talking today, is to make sure that everybody on our team who's a salesperson or an account manager or an independent agent knows in more intimate detail just how well this Payroll4Construction software works. So that's our goal for today. We've worked together with Payroll4Construction to put together a referral program. So we're going to put some incentive behind your efforts to talk to your clients and prospects about Payroll4Construction. So we'll dive into more about that referral program towards the end of the call, but independent agents, our sales team, our trust staff sales team, and our trust staff account managers will all be eligible to participate in that referral program. So more on that towards the end of the presentation. So with that, Alex, I'll hand the microphone over to you and we'll pick back up towards the end of the call.
Wonderful. Perfect. Thank you, Adam, and thank you for that introduction. Again, I want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their busy schedules today to join us for this quick educational webinar, a high-level overview of what Payroll4Construction can offer for your contractors that you're working with here, and how we can make their business and their lives easier when it comes to the payroll side of construction and business here. So jumping into the webinar here, this first slide here, my name here again is Alex Gray. I'm one of the regional sales managers here at Payroll4Construction. This is my contact information here, my email. I'll pull this up again at the end of the webinar here. So if you have anyone that you want to send my way or have some other questions that that we may not cover here today, shoot me an email, give me a call here. I'll be able to answer any questions that you guys may have about our service. So first slide here, meet Payroll4Construction.com. So what are we? We are an online payroll service provider that's just for construction. So we only work with construction clients and contractors. So we understand the difficulties that comes with construction payroll, the changing rates, all the burden that's involved, and just manual entry can be a huge time taker of businesses' processes during their weeks. And you could see people spending hours on payroll when there's other important parts of construction that they need to focus on for actually running their business. Payroll for Construction, we payroll processing in all 50 states. And like Adam said there at the beginning, we are a sister company to Foundation Software. So the beautiful thing about Payroll for Construction is we're powered by Foundation Software that has that 35 years of experience in construction, that has that full ERP accounting system in the background where, hey, we realize that our clients are benefiting from this full accounting software, but there's a few number of clients here that only want the payroll portion where they have the certified payroll. They have these changing rates where they don't want the full accounting package, but they need these reports generated for them. They need an easier, more efficient way to run payroll. That's where Payroll for Construction came in, and we were able to rip parts of the Foundation Software accounting system out and create our payroll service here. And at the end of the day, that we are at this payroll service, we're like your ADP, like your paychecks, where we're going to pay your employees taxes. But the beautiful thing that comes in with Payroll for Construction is we're going to automate reports like these job costing, certified payroll, EEO, minority compliance reports that are tailored specific to the construction industry, because that's the only type of clients that we work with here at Payroll for Construction. So the next couple of slides here is going to give an overview of what we actually do here. So starting from the top is we are a construction specific payroll provider here. So within the software, we are able to track and automate a number of services for the jobs to help make the payroll process easier for these clients. Starting at the top here is we are able to handle multi-states. So we have clients here that are working in a number of states where each different state is going to have its own tax requirements and tax reporting purposes, where we need to manage those changing jobs that are in the different states that are going to have different tax classifications, tax reportings tied to them. So we are able to set up tax tables for the specific states that clients are working in, tie them directly to the job. When we're running payroll, the system's automatically able to track those tax rates, anything from the FUTA, SUDA, if there's state and local authorities that are coming into play, we are able to track those multi-state purposes. The next function that we have available with Payroll for Construction is multi-locality. So when you have clients that are working in certain states like Kentucky and Ohio, the different localities that you may be working with are going to have these different tax reporting purposes that are going to be tied to these localities. So we are also able to set up the multiple localities. Clients may be working in different states, tie those directly to the job, and the system's going to automatically track those localities in the tax reporting purposes for those localities. Then getting into some of the bigger features of Payroll for Construction here is the automated pay rates for the prevailing wage here. So for those clients that are working the prevailing wage jobs, we know that, hey, the government's requiring them to pay these guys above scale. So I can have an employee 112 here who I'm paying him $15 an hour on my private work. But once I have that job 12 come into a play that's a prevailing wage job, we're going to need to pay this guy above scale based on what trades he's actually working. So I'll show an example in the software here later on in the demonstration, but we are able to set up these tax tables that's going to say, hey, for this job, if my employee is working this specific trade, he needs to be paid this specific rate. Then once we are entering time for the said employee into Payroll for Construction, the system's going to be able to look at said job, what the employee was doing based on the trade he was working for that job, and it's going to be able to pull in the prevailing wage above scale rate that we need for that employee to be paid for said job. When we have employees switching trades on the same job in the same day, they're going to be having a number of pay rates that they're going to be hit in the same day. You're not going to have to do manual tracking or manual entry of these changing pay rates. The system's going to automatically look at said table, look at what that employee was working for that said job, and pull in that pay rate for him. Then with these automated pay rates for the tracking of the prevailing wage, the system's then going to automatically generate the prevailing wage, the certified payroll reports for you, for these clients in the system that they would be able to run later on when it's time to submit those certified reports. Another thing that Payroll for Construction is able to handle is these fringe calculations. So we'll see clients that have that prevailing wage cash fringe that's being paid to the employee, or whether it's a prevailing wage cash fringe that's going to some type of fringe benefit group. We are able to set up said fringes for specific jobs, tie them to that job record, and the system's going to automatically track those fringe calculations for the job and what we need to have for those employees. We are able to do these non-taxable, taxable. There's a number of ways that we can set up these fringe calculations of how we need them to calculate correctly for the job. Another great feature that Payroll for Construction has available is the prevailing wage fringe reduction factor, what we call a fringe credit or a fringe reduction, where we have these prevailing wage jobs where the government's saying, hey, you need to pay this guy $12 an hour of the fringe rate, but this client may already be paying them $7 an hour fringe rate just out of their pocket for the company policy. What we are able to do inside Payroll for Construction is we can say, hey, we want to reduce this fringe down to the $7 by the difference in 5 we have between the 12 and the 7 to save some money on that fringe credit. So we're not paying the $12 and the $7 on top of each other when we don't have to, since we're already paying that employee $7 an hour. We're able to reduce it by the 5, and whether we want to reduce it for their vacation, PTO, dental, however we want to reduce said fringe, we can do so inside of the system, set up different fringe reduction factors for the different employees inside the system. And the last item here for the construction-specific payroll is our workers' compensation. So we are able to set up workers' compensation where we can track it to be by different types of work that's being performed. So if we have a roofing contractor, we may have different workers' compensation classes where they're getting a different rate if they're up on top of the roof or if they're on the ground. When we're entering time for said employee, we'll have different codes that allows the system to see, hey, this guy was currently working on the roof. He was on top of a building today. He needs that higher workers' compensation class and that rate tied to him for what he was doing at this time. Then later on in the day, he was on the ground. He's going to have that lower workers' comp class and rate being tied to him. The system's going to be able to automatically track that workers' compensation rate and class by what type of work that actual employee was performing on that day. Then the system's going to be able to automatically generate those workers' compensation reports for us, run them for the clients, and the clients will be able to run them in the system when it's time to run and make those workers' compensation payments. So now, once we've run payroll here, payroll's been submitted, we've paid the employees the checks and direct deposits. Now it's time to run those construction-specific reports that are going to be generated inside the system for you. So the main one that we're going to see here that our clients take advantage of is going to be our certified payroll reports here. So those government contractors that need those certified reports, whether they're going to be printing them out or whether they're doing an electronic upload online, the system's able to track what job is a certified job versus a commercial job. Once we run payroll and it's time to now run these certified reports, the system's going to automatically take the information from the previous payroll runs and allow us to run those certified payroll reports. We have a number of electronic upload versions, but we also have over 60 different formats for our print versions. I will show a couple of examples of this later on in the demonstration as well. Next reports that we have available is minority compliance, the EEO reporting. So if we need any minority compliance reports to be generated inside the system to see what's going on with our employees, this is going to be another report that would be automatically generated for us. We simply enter a date range, and we're able to custom format how we want these reports to appear, whether it's going to be through a specific date range, include certain employees, certain jobs. We're able to automatically run these reports that were generated by the system for us. Another big report here is our job, labor, and our burden cost report. So we know that construction payroll, we may be saying that, hey, I have my guy Rick, I'm paying him $15 an hour, but once all of our labor and burden costs are taken into account, our FICA, our FUTA, our SUTA, if we have any general liability, workers' compensation, fringes, all of that's going to build up. And actually, if we say, hey, Rick's costing me $15 an hour, once everything's taken into account, he may be actually costing us $18.50 an hour. So we are able to run these reports that are going to generate and include all of our job labor and our burden costs for us, broken out by job, employee to the penny, so we can get that more accurate and effective job costing for our clients to be able to see what they're actually paying and what their payroll burden is for these jobs. Again, like I said on the first slide here, we have the workers' compensation. So once we set up those classes, what we need those rates to be tracked for workers' comp, the system's then going to track and generate the numbers for us as payrolls ran, have our workers' compensation reports that we can run broken out by class. We are able to set up caps on our workers' compensation policies, where if we have a certain earning that shouldn't be included in our exposure for our workers' compensation, we are able to set up caps so clients wouldn't be overpaying on those workers' compensation numbers if something shouldn't be included in those earnings towards workers' compensation payments for said employee. Again, for the construction specific reporting, we have the 401k reports that are generated. So if any of our clients are working or have a 401k plan that their company is a part of, we are able to set up how we want that 401k to be tracked, whether it's deducted from the paycheck, however that 401k is being calculated for said employee. When we run payroll, the system's going to look at the employee record, see how we have the 401k deduction being set up for said employee, and we'll have a report available for the client to run to then see what the 401k payment is for that pay period for specific employees. Then the last report here that we'd have available is if we have any clients that have child support or alimony or any other garnishments, we are able to handle the payment of those garnishments in-house. So if those clients wanted us to handle those, we could take those over. But if they wanted to keep the garnishments in-house, they have no problem still handling those. They are able to keep those in-house, but our child support and other garnishment reports would be automatically generated for them. So when it comes time to make that payment, whether we're doing it or they're doing it, it's very easy to run a report for that payroll period, however we're making the payment for that child support or other garnishment, pull up that report with that information. Then slide number 3 here. So again, just want to circle back on the fact that at the end of the day, we are still your traditional payroll service provider. So we're going to pay employees via check or direct deposit, however those employees are being paid. We can pay your taxes weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annually. So we would be liable for the client's tax payments. Then we provide the quarterly and annual returns for clients. And then also the W-2s and other year-end services. So 1095s, we also will handle those as well with the W-2s. If we have a client that's switching to payroll for construction in the beginning of the year, we are able to update payroll history from whatever other system that they were working with before on their payroll, update their history so these employees would only be receiving one W-2 from payroll for construction at year end. So we can have that history all nice and clean in one system. And with those W-2s, we are able to mail them to the individual employees' addresses, or if the company or the client wanted us to mail them to their office to have them distribute, we also have the option of doing so that route as well. On our next slide here, so what else makes us different? So Payroll for Construction, circling back to how we are ripped out of the Foundation Software full accounting ERP system, we integrate directly with Foundation Software. So our payroll module is housed directly inside the accounting software, but we know not every client is going to be using Foundation Software, and not every client is going to be a fit for the full accounting software. That's why when we built Payroll for Construction, we kept it in mind that we can use this as a standalone if we need to for a said client. So if they didn't like the full ERP accounting system, they're using something like QuickBooks or a Sage product, any other accounting program, we are able to integrate with those systems and push information and data back into those databases that they're using for their accounting, so they can still see their labor costs inside their main accounting system, even though they may be running their payroll through Payroll for Construction. So the first bullet point, what makes this different here is we have a number of clients that are running QuickBooks as their accounting software. So we have a direct integration with those clients that are using QuickBooks. Once they submit payroll to us, a journal entry is automatically created by Payroll4Construction by default. The client would have a button available to them that says QuickBooks integration. They click that said button. It's going to push journal entry and all of that data broken out by job to show them their FUTA, their SUTA, their labor burden, all those expenses, what went on with their labor costs back into their QuickBooks database. So when they're running those reports, they're going to still be able to see their labor costs included in their full accounting reports, because even though we want you to be able to run your payroll through Payroll4Construction, we know your main reports in your accounting system still need to have those labor costs included with the other job costs that may be going on, so we can see the full breakdown for those clients. So we're able to integrate and work with other accounting programs to push data back into the main system so they can see the full cost on said reports. What else makes this different? Our only focus is construction, like I said. So we're only working with construction clients and contractors here. We understand the industry. We understand the difficulties that come with construction payroll. We have support team and representatives available here in-house to help when those difficulties come up with construction payroll. What makes us different is our support team is all in-house here. It's all foundation software, Payroll4Construction support representatives that are available for clients Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. These support representatives are tax team. They are constantly working, making sure that we are monitoring the changes that are going on with construction payroll, what the industry is requiring for contractors, and that's where our big focus is construction. So we are in tune and up to date with what the industry is expecting out of these contractors payroll-wise. Moving on to our next feature here, we have a time card import feature. So clients will have the ability to enter manual hours into their system if they chose to. But if they were using another mobile application like Exact Time, About Time, or we have our own mobile product here called Foundation Field Log Mobile, we are able to import time cards from an outside provider inside the Payroll4Construction database. So when if they're given an application to those guys in the field, they're able to help automate the process for them, where they still are able to use the application that they may have been using before Payroll4Construction. We can create an import that will allow them to pull a report from the time card application that they are using, and then import the hours automatically into the Payroll4Construction database, saving them time on the time entry inside the system. Once that time's entered, then the system's going to then look at those pay rates and be able to automate the pay rates of what the guys were doing on the job. So kind of streamline the entire process here, where some people still like to manually enter those hours, but they also want to put the burden on their guys in the field to enter those times through that application. So we have an import that we can set up, or like my next bullet point here, that we have a mobile application that we have in-house here that guys can have and use in the field with a number of different time card options that we can have them enter time, and that will then be seamlessly pulled into the Payroll4Construction database. Second to last bullet point here. So Payroll4Construction is a web-based system. So we can access this anytime from anywhere with an internet connection. Once a client signs on for Payroll4Construction, we're able to give whoever the users are going to be accessing from the company their own access credentials into the software. Then we are able to custom tailor how we want the system to appear. So if we want to lock down certain things, if we want to set up certain items, the view for said users of the software, we're able to customize and set up Payroll4Construction to a exact layout of what a user would want to see. And again, they're going to have that web-based access, so they can access it from the office, or if they're working at home with how these work-from-home times have changed, they're able to access from a laptop at home. So a number of ways that they would be able to log on. Then last bullet point here is we do have an online stub portal for employees to be able to receive their pay stubs electronically. So even though we're handling the checks and direct deposits, clients would be able to run reports inside the system that would show earnings and deductions for their employees. But if they wanted these employees to be able to access an earnings and deductions report, see their pay time off hours if they're tracking those, or see their previous 5 paychecks / direct deposits. We have an online sub portal called e-access that an employee would be able to log into with a username or an email, and then see their previous pay information. So we're taking that burden off the people running payroll in the office, that they don't have to constantly run these reports, print out previous stubs for employees. Employees would have online access for for their online stubs. So how is the payroll process for Payroll4Construction? Simple. Client logs in online. Then they're going to either manually enter, or if they're using an application, import the time cards into the Payroll4Construction database. Once their hours are entered, we have a number of reports, proofing reports, registers that a client will be able to run to review that all of their hours are correct, and see what their guys are going to be paid to the penny before we submit payroll to Payroll4Construction to process. Once they review their time, all of the payroll calculations are looking correct, they'll send payroll off to Payroll4Construction with a click of a button. Very simple, very easy to do inside the Payroll4Construction database. Then once that payroll is submitted, it's sent off to Payroll4Construction. Our team works on processing that payroll. Payroll is typically processed within the hour. Then the client's going to have all of those reports available to them of what went on with that payroll run. We'll give them the full breakout of what the tax liabilities were for that pay period, what their workers' compensation was, all of the information of screenshots of what went on with that payroll run, so they have that clear report and data of what that payroll run cost them. Now for this next portion here, I will go ahead and pull up the software here. So with Payroll4Construction here, this is what a client sees when they log into the database here. High-level overview here. So the basic thing that we like to show here is that we are able to manage the changing and the tracking of those rates that I was talking about earlier when the clients have those prevailing wage jobs here. So inside payroll maintenance, we are able to set up these pay rate tables for specific prevailing wage jobs that clients may be working. The beautiful thing about these rate tables is we can set them up by job. So you may have a prevailing wage job that's going to have 2 different pay rate factors that we need to set up. So we are able to set up these tables inside the database. And another feature or service that comes with Payroll4Construction is if clients are getting these new prevailing wage tables that they have for a prevailing wage job coming up, they are able to send these tables to us with those trades and those pay rates, and we can set them up inside their database for them if they wanted to go that route. Clients are also going to have the ability to set up these tables themselves if they want to, but if they didn't want to have that burden, they want to have us set it up, we can set up said tables for them. And we are able to set up as many prevailing wage tables as we need for any number of jobs that these clients are going to have. We can time stamp them with an effective date, change them, update them if we needed to. Very easy to do inside the system. Then we are able to do the same thing with those deductions and fringes. So like we were mentioning earlier, prevailing wage jobs may have that prevailing wage cash fringe that we need to have either paid to the employee, or it might be going to some outside fringe benefit group. We are able to set up that prevailing wage cash fringe, whether we want it to be tied to a specific job, to a specific trade. We are then able to set up how we want that fringe to be calculated, whether it's based on hours work, if it's hours paid or a percentage, and whatever we need that fringe to be. The system's then going to automatically include this when we're running payroll, entering hours for the employees that are meeting this prevailing wage cash fringe. Then we're able to set up different codes where if we have it getting paid to the employee, or if it's going to some fringe benefit group, we are able to set up how we want that fringe to be tracked inside the system. And then the other items we have here, so if we have the prevailing wage fringe reduction, we have specific employees that need to have that reduction. We can set it up on an employee basis here. We are able to set up the workers' compensation information, those different classes with the different rates, and even set up those caps on exposure where if we didn't need certain earnings to be included in our workers' compensation numbers, we can set up those caps there. Then on the employee record here, this would be the big setup that would be when clients were to sign up with us, where we are able to import your employees. We can set up reoccurring time cards. We can set up paid time off tracking. So if employees are getting banked hours at the beginning of the year or they're accruing them throughout the year on an hourly basis, we are able to set those up on the employee records here. Once we have our payroll maintenance complete, this is going to be the beauty of what Payroll for Construction is able to do, the manage and tracking of those changing rates that clients may be seeing on a weekly basis or even on a daily basis. So the first example I'll show you here is just going to be a basic time card entry for an employee here. So a client can come in, select the employee that they want to enter hours for. And if they're manually entering their times, they would enter some line items here and be able to select what jobs this employee was working on in this week. My first job I will have here is my job 12. This Hopkins Airport job is my commercial, my private job. My employee here, Rick Stevens, has $15 an hour on his employee record that he should be paid for these private jobs. My job 97051 and 97052 here, these are two different prevailing wage jobs for me. So like I had shown here earlier, we had this prevailing wage tables that we had set up, went into the job record and tied said prevailing wage table to these jobs. Now when I come into Payroll for Construction here and I start entering hours, whether I'm doing this manually or whether I'm importing time here, I'm able to get my hours entered into the system. Once I click OK here, the system's then going to look at the faults, look at those tables that I had set up for employees for jobs, and automatically pull in those changing rates for my jobs for my employee here. So there's going to be no more manual tracking, no more manual override of the pay rates. Payroll for Construction is able to look at said prevailing wage table, see, hey, my guy was working this trade on this date, so my guy Rick was an electrician. Per my table I had set up for Lakewood Recreation, job 97051, he was supposed to be paid $22.50. Now, how the system's able to also check the changing trades that these guys may have. So my guy Rick may only work as a electrician for 4 hours on my 97051 on this day, but let's say he was working on said job again, and on this day, he had another 4 hours and he was a laborer for me. Now I'm switching his trade. He's still working that same job. Once I click OK, Payroll for Construction looked at my prevailing wage table, said, he's not an electrician, he's now a laborer. We need to pull in that changing rate for Rick. So the system now looked at that table, automatically brought in that rate that he was supposed to be paid for the work he was doing on this job, and automatically tracked this for us. And again, it's just going to take away that manual override that clients may have to do when we have these number of changing rates here. So we're able to set up any number of trades, any number of tables to these jobs and tie in so the system will automatically track these changing rates that may occur for clients. And then to go back and harp on the time card import we have set up here. So the clients that may not be doing that manual entry here, they're going to be importing time cards here. So they're going to still come to the same enter time card screen, but what they're going to do is they're going to have the ability to click this import button. When they go through the implementation process, they're going to have a trainer assigned to them that's going to set up the time card import example for them. The only thing the client would need to do is select the time card file that they had pulled out of their mobile application that they were using. So if they weren't using our mobile app, we're able to have that file be generated, pulled out from their application, and pull it into Payroll for Construction. Once I click next, click finish, the system's going to look at that report and automatically pull in the hours from that application into the system for me. I'm able to review my hours. Okay, everything's looking good here. All right, let's press OK. Once I click OK, Payroll for Construction now took these fields that we didn't pull from the application, looked at those rate tables, and was able to generate the pay rates that we need to pay these guys for their work based on the hours we pulled out of the mobile application and pulled in those rates from the tables that we had set up for said jobs. So no more manual tracking here, and especially if those clients are using that import feature here, they're going to save a ton of time with the manual entry and the manual override of the pay rates of when they're actually getting the hours entered into the system. All right. And then, so with Payroll for Construction, all right, your payroll's been submitted with us. It's good to go. Let's start running our reports. So we'll have those workers' compensation reports available to them. Our reports inside the system, we can run them for any date range we want to. So we can send them back to any date we started using Payroll for Construction. We are able to condense these in different formats. So right now it's state, class, employee. We can condense them by employee, class, a number of different formats that we want. When we run the report, they're going to be able to automatically generate it for us, kind of break them out by employees or what they were actually doing on a job based on what we set up for those classes, workers' compensation wise. All right, and then we also have the EEO minority compliance. So we have print and electronic versions. So if there's any uploads, we are able to upload these reports online. That's going to be the same thing with our certified payroll reports here. So when you have those clients that are working in states like California, they have the online uploads like the LCP tracker. We have a direct LCP tracker integration where this file is going to be generated for them automatically once payroll is submitted for the week. They are able to come into the system here, select the format that they want. So for this example, I'm going to show the LCP tracker here. A client will then be able to come in, put the date range for however they want to run this report for. If they only want to run it for a certain number of prevailing wage jobs that they work that week, or if they only want to run it for one job or all their jobs, they're able to condense and kind of custom format how they want this report to appear. They'll have tabs to add all their additional information they may need for the certified report. Then a client's going to click report here. Now, looking at this report, once it's generated on the screen right now, you're going to see that it kind of looks jumbled. It's not really legible information for someone to read off the screen. That's because this is our electronic upload here. Once a client clicks close here, the system's going to ask them if they want to create a file. The system will automatically create an XLM file that would be saved to wherever they define they want the file to be saved on their system. Once they save that file, they're then able to log into the LCP tracker online. They would see a portal that says select from your vendor here. They would see Foundation Software, select Foundation Software, and then they are able to upload said XLM file to the LCP tracker, and their certified payroll upload has been uploaded, created automatically for them, saving them time with the manual tracking of the creation of these reports, where we see some clients actually doing these inside of an Excel sheet when this can be an automated process for them using this electronic upload. And then those clients that don't have the LCP tracker available to them, we have the certified payroll print options here. At Payroll for Construction, we have over 60 different print formats. So those clients, we're working in all 50 states here. So we'll have those formats, and our team is constantly working, updating these formats to the most recent version that these states need to see. The popular one that we like to show here is the U.S. Department of Labor format here. So once I go ahead and click report, the system's then going to automatically generate those certified reports for me based on the information that I've entered for this week's payroll run. The system will go through each of my jobs here. And on these reports, if there's something that is missing information here, that's just because I don't have it set up in my system. Wherever there is a spot for it on the report inside Payroll for Construction, there's a spot for it inside the system. So if a client was missing something, hey, I forgot to put an address for this job here, they can jump out of the report, go to the job record, set up what the address of said job is, and it's going to automatically then update that report for them when they would come in and rerun the report. The software will also do no work forms if any client needed to generate those, and we'll also be able to include remarks and signature pages with custom comments that clients may need for these reports. And then again, these clients are going to have the freedom to run any one of these reports that are inside the system. The last big report that I'll show here is the burden employee summary. So back to my example earlier where we may be paying our guys $15 an hour on their employee record for those commercial jobs. After all the burden is calculated and computed for payroll, they're going to cost us more than that $15 an hour. So we're able to run these burden employee reports that we can break out by job or by specific employee to get us down to the penny of what our employees were actually costing us with all of their hours, earnings, FICA, FUTA, SUTA, workers' comp, liability, any of those fringes, any other extra burden that may be going into payroll. These reports will be generated by default for them. All right, so high-level overview of Payroll for Construction there. Again, during our one-on-one live demonstrations, we're able to really get down into a custom feature set of what clients may need there. So that's just a high-level overview. The biggest thing with Payroll for Construction is those clients that have prevailing wage work, we're able to track the changing rates, automatically generate those certified reports that they may need. Those clients that may not be having prevailing wage work, they just want to get more effective job costing. That's another thing that Payroll for Construction is going to be able to handle very well for them, that we can run their payroll, pay their employees their checks and direct deposits, but these reports are going to be tailored to the construction industry for them. They're going to have the language that these contractors are familiar with seeing inside those reports, and they can run them in the custom formats to see how they want them to be tailored to get that data entry in the data view of how they want to see it for their jobs. With Payroll for Construction here, what is our typical client? So our typical client is contractors of varying size and trades who simply want to effectively process payroll, eliminate confusing tax filings, and receive automated construction reporting. So those contractors that have those prevailing wage jobs, or they just want to get more effective job costing, that's those clients that we typically take on. And those varying sizes, we have clients that are running one employee on a payroll run for a pay period, or we have clients that are running 500 employees for a payroll run. So there really isn't a client too small, too large that we work with here. We work with clients of varying sizes, varying industries, varying rates, trades, jobs, actual type of work that they are doing. And we're built for those contractors that have that specific construction payroll needs, those that are looking for that more detailed job costing. And my big example that I have for this demonstration here today is those government contractors, because they're going to have the complex reporting and those prevailing wage requirements where it's the rates and the generating of those prevailing wage reports that they need to upload or send off to show what's going on for those jobs. And Payroll for Construction, we're ultimately going to be able to provide that value of saving time on payroll, because we know that construction payroll is difficult. There's mistakes that happen. There's a large number of requirements that we need to meet to make sure that we have payroll correct and our reporting is correct for all these requirements that are put on these companies. So we are able to save time with the efficient payroll processing, the automated generation of those certified payroll reports, the automated tracking of the pay rates, and then us ultimately handling the tax filings in the payments. So clients don't have to worry about actually getting their employees paid. That's going to fall on us. They can work on actually running their business. Again, high-level overview of Payroll for Construction there. The next slide that I will jump into here is for your agents here for the Referral Portal. So there is a link that is included in the presentation. I also believe this will be sent out in the follow-up email that you guys will be able to bookmark for those clients that you want to refer over to Payroll for Construction. Very simple portal to use. Just the agent's first name, agent's last name, the agent company, their work email, and then the client information here. Then at the bottom, which products are you referring for the payroll service part of it, would just select Payroll for Construction. Check refer a client. That information is going to get sent over to us, and we have tracking between us and ABC that's going to manage the referrals that come over from the agents to Payroll for Construction. And at this time, then, I'm going to pass it back over to Adam. Adam will then lay out some of the referral incentives here that we have between Payroll for Construction and ABC.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Great job, by the way.
Thank you.
We're doing a number of things to build out this partnership between the ABC Insurance Trust and Payroll for Construction. Today is just one of the many ways we're going to continue to expand and build out this partnership. On Monday, February 28th, we'll be doing a similar webinar presentation for the clients of the ABC Insurance Trust. As many of you maybe know already, Maddie has completed work on our prevailing wage resource guide, And there's a section created within that prevailing wage resource guide that outlines some of the services for Payroll4Construction. Payroll4Construction also has individual sell sheets that we can obtain from them to help promote their services to our clients and prospects. As always, please submit your ideas to Krista and I for ways in which we can continue to foster this partnership and build it out across the country. Hopefully you can tell from today's presentation that they really are uniquely suited to serve construction contractors better than most generic, if you will, payroll solutions that are out there. And certainly you can see from the government contracting side how deep their services go there to make it so easy for contractors to bid and perform on those jobs. And I think it goes without saying that to the extent we have a client who's working with Payroll4Construction, that those client relationships are going to run more smoothly, because I think we all know when you've got the payroll running smoothly, everything else tends to run pretty smoothly as well, particularly around benefits. So Payroll4Construction has decided to invest in this relationship on their end as well, and they will provide a $500 one-time referral fee for whenever an independent agent or one of our trust staff refers a client to Payroll4Construction that becomes a client of Payroll4Construction. If you are an independent agent, you will work directly with Payroll4Construction to set up that payment stream with them for the referrals that you provide. Obviously, we know that you work with more than just ABC member contractors. So this is a way for you to generate income across your ABC membership and non-ABC members. For ABC Insurance Trust staff, we'll talk more separately or talk to your manager about how that $500 referral fee will work for the trust staff. But please know that a lot of that will end up in your paycheck. And it's a way for us to, as a team, further build this partnership and provide qualified referrals over to Payroll4Construction. So with that, Alex, any other details you can think of? We're going to provide this link to everybody so that they can themselves, on behalf of their contractor client, fill out this referral form and then have someone from your team reach out to that company.
Correct. Yeah, it would either be myself or I have a partner here. His name is Jim Welsh. It would be one of us to do the demonstrations here. Our demonstrations are held over the Zoom platform. So if those clients are asking how we actually hold our demos, they're held over the Zoom platform, either by myself or Jim Welsh. Typically run anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, and we'll be able to hold as many demonstrations as clients would need.
Great. Any, in terms of those demos, Alex, anything that would help us kind of prepare a contractor for the demo? Is there anything they can bring along or be notified of ahead of time to help it go more smoothly?
The biggest thing would just be to bring a list of questions that they sees the biggest burden on them with their payroll, and shoot those questions toward us. We're very honest, very straightforward in our demonstrations, that if we can handle what they're looking for. So the biggest thing would be come prepared with a list of questions that is the biggest burden for them, that really is the biggest pain in running payroll for them, and we'll see if we can show them a feature that would help save them some time on that portion of their payroll.
Right. Okay.
And then I'll put my, I wanted to put my my information back up here real quick, and also open it up for questions. If anyone any of the attendees have any questions for myself, if you don't have anything right now or something comes up later on, my information here is at the bottom. I'm very flexible in answering emails at all times of the day, so no question is too large, too small. Any questions that you guys have, I will be able to answer at any time. So feel free to reach out at any point.
Great. I don't see any questions in the question field. So we'll just give it a second and see if anybody's got any, but otherwise they can obviously reach out to you directly, Alex. Thank you very much, Alex. Great job today. And Eric as well. I know you're there in the background. Looking forward to making this just the first step of many steps and activities in the months and years ahead to continue to build out this, what I would argue is a mutually beneficial relationship. So
Yep, definitely, definitely. And I know Eric's probably not able to speak right now, but I speak for myself and Eric. Thank you, Adam, for the opportunity here. And we just want to thank everyone that took the time out of their day to join us for this presentation today.
Very good. Well, we'll get this recording sent around as well, so folks have that, and then we'll have the next webinar on the 28th.
Wonderful.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.